So this is a confession video, a confession that happened about a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more. It's not naughty, it's more of a why did you do that scenario. I had a pupil who, unbeknown to me, wore contacts all the time. And we were going to go on this driving test. So we'd done enough mock tests to know that he was on the right page, he was in the right place. Except when I went to pick him up, the process of taking a driving test is that you would do 30 minutes of driving and then go and do your driving test so you get used to the car. I went to pick him up and we'd done a little bit of driving and it wasn't really his area, if you will. He chose to do his driving test in a slightly different area. He knew how to drive, he kind of had an idea, he'd done about 50 hours, something like that, so he was about right. He wouldn't really get caught out by the big stuff. It's more likely he would get caught out on a manoeuvre or stopping and not checking his blind spot, something silly like that. So I took him at this driving test and I just happened to notice he had glasses on, and I never really thought about it. I never really thought about why he had his glasses on. I'd never seen him with glasses before, and I never really appreciated that he needed contact lenses. So we went out and went in the test centre and he got his name called out and took his little card and gave it to the examiner, and the examiner said, "This is you, click the 2 boxes, sign your life away, and let's go outside and let's go and read a number plate." He went outside and I could hear them from the waiting room, and I could hear the examiner say, "No son, that's not right." I'll give you a good example. So I've got a car, it's just over here, CE66GBU, right? I might bleep a little bit of that out. I might just leave it in. And he would go and read, instead of reading CE66, he would go, oh, that's L8 G8U. The examiner's going, eh? Now, on a driving test, if you've got learning difficulties or you don't understand the road signs or you have some sort of dyslexia towards words and numbers, the examiner can take that into account. And what the examiner said was, are the letters in focus? And the kid went, no. And he goes, okay, what I want you to do, I want you to go back into the test centre, I want you to go and take a seat, and I'm going to measure out a license plate for you. Now, when they take you outside and they are doing the eyesight test, it's a guess. They roughly know 20 metres away that you can read a number plate. Few times when they take you out, they don't have a mark, they don't have a line, they don't really need one, and they just sort of drag you into the middle of the car park and say, read that number plate over there, and it might be as little as 17 or 18 metres away. So if you can't read it at 17 or 18, you're definitely not going to read it if it's measured out. Examiner came back with his tape measure, measured up a number plate, took me outside, made sure that the line was correct, that we was all above board and we were not cheating this guy about his driving test. And I said, yeah, that's fine. He said, right, you go and get him, you go and stand out the way, and I'm going to get him to read the number plate, but I want you to stand at the side of the road out the way. I said, yeah, sure, no problem. And he went out and he was going to read this number plate, and he'd go, yeah, so he'd read the same sort of thing. He'd go, oh, right, well, that's 0, 8, and he couldn't read it. He couldn't read the number plate. The examiner at that point failed him on his driving test. He can't take him any further forward because he's failed his eyesight check. It seems quite ridiculous that somebody would fail an eyesight check in this day and age. But he did. He got in the car. I drove him home. I wasn't going to let him drive at that point because he couldn't see. And I said to him, I said, what's the story with the glasses? Did you not think of... He goes, oh, well, what it is, I've run out of contact lenses. I said, right, okay. I know full well that you need to get contact lenses, you've got to have your annual eyesight test. And I haven't got that eyesight test. My eyesight test is actually in 2 weeks' time. I instantly thought, well, if your eyesight checks in 2 weeks' time, why didn't you have it last week before your driving test came along? And then you might get new contacts, or you might have even a new pair of glasses in time for your driving test. No, this didn't occur to him, this. I said, so what about the glasses you've got on? I was all puzzled, but I was driving down the road, I was driving down the 1061 at this point. And I'm driving along this road, and he goes, oh, well, these are old ones at me drawer from about 3 or 4 years ago. And I just sort of, I'm driving along.